Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski. Welcome to this week's regulatory roundup. There is so much. I'm actually in a bit of a pickle because there's so much in this week's data that I can't figure out if I should go with it and let this update be longer or cut it and leave you in the dark. So the most important thing I will tell you is how transformative it is to have a tool like this. I spend about, I don't know, an hour a week and I review every single regulatory alert on topics that I care about, and it's so enriching. It gives me things to discuss at dinner parties when we have them again someday. It makes me feel confident about pretty much any regulatory topic thrown my way. I mean, I'm not an intellectual slouch or anything, but I am lazy. And that's why Regulators is awesome, because all I need to read are the headlines and occasionally the summaries, and I get the gist. So I decided there's a tie. The regulators of the week are Massachusetts and Missouri. Massachusetts, because they had a hearing this week about a bill having to do with the custody of digital assets. Missouri, because their state board of accountancy is proposing a rule having to do with foreign corporations practicing accounting in Missouri. There's also a tie in the topic of the week, so take your pick, crypto or climate. Let's start with climate because we've got pretty much every single regulator talking about it some way or another, from local states to multinational, multi-governmental agencies. Obviously, the infrastructure bill passed in the US and also the climate change conference happened. But here are 4 alerts worthy of mentioning. The Basel Committee produced an update on its work about climate financial risk and also digital assets. The FCA in the United Kingdom put out information on their specific task force on climate-related financial disclosure for all listed companies. Our own acting OCC here in the United States gave a speech sharing 5 questions that large bank boards of directors should ask to promote and accelerate improvements in climate risk management practices at their banks. And California, who has been prolific about climate change long before anyone else, has now announced the first in national ranking of heat waves created by the Department of Insurance. The other topic of the week, crypto, had 6 updates worthy of mention, and I don't know if I'll get through them all. We'll see what I can do. If the camera cuts, that means it was too long, and you'll have to go to YouTube to get the full-length feature. The SEC gave a formal statement on DeFi, which is decentralized finance, risk, regulations, and opportunities. In a speech, the SEC Commissioner Carolyn Crenshaw talked about structured data. Speaking of structured data, the FCA, with a number of inter-UK agencies, put out a statement about the importance of regulators working together to deliver digital regulation. Also, Her Majesty's Treasury and the Bank of England announced next steps on the exploration of a UK central bank digital currency. Also, the SEC busted a company for issuing tokens that specifically mirrored US stocks, not because of the merits of the case, but because the owners and founders have failed to comply with any subpoenas. Can't imagine that's going to go well in the company's direction. What else do you need to know? ESMA, the EU security markets regulator, has published a final report on technical standards under its crowdfunding regulation and set a legal deadline for compliance in May of 2022. The National Institute of Standards and Technology has also been busy. They announced the Federal Cybersecurity and Privacy Professionals Forum meeting on December 2nd, and they also put out NISTIR 8286A, identifying and estimating cybersecurity risk for enterprise risk management. And I've been kind of bummed about how little media coverage, specifically positive media coverage, or really any, there is on the first female and woman of color in the Oval Office. But there was a regulatory alert this week that Vice President Kamala Harris is announcing a number of collaborative initiatives between the US and France having to do with space and cybersecurity. That's it this week for Regulators US Alerts. Get your employment alert subscription on the books. See you next week from Disneyland on LinkedIn and YouTube.